And a super good morning to each and every single one of you from the butterfly chair just outside of Lankaran. And as you can see, out in the back again for a Thursday morning before hitting the content production. And I'm just wondering, something that I mentioned at the end of yesterday's video is, how do you feel about me hitting another content production and see how I write a blog post at the writing speed of approximately 1,000 words every 12 minutes. So with that in mind, let me get stuck into the rest of the bike ride so that once I get back home, I'll be able to show you exactly how I complete that project without skipping a beat and pushing out content at the rate of 1,000 words every 12 minutes. Watch along so that you can emulate the same thing in your content production. And just to give you a better idea, I mentioned the butterfly chair. As you can see behind me, there's the village of Lankaran, and as I move further away, you can see the butterfly wings. Right, let's get stuck into my blog post number 2. This is a much This is a much shorter blog post. There are only 4 H2 subheadings, so which means the amount of content that's going to go under there will be much less. So let me set a countdown timer of just 10 minutes. And the reason why I'm setting it for only 10 minutes is that in 10 minutes time it's the end of the Project 24 content hour time. So let's see in 10 minutes how many words I can knock out on this specific blog post. That's sitting on, as you can see, 70 words at the moment, and let's make it rock and roll. One of the key things that many runners need to be able to look at when choosing a training plan is whether they need to choose a long-term training plan or a short-term training plan. Period. And as a coach, when I assess what type of training plan would be beneficial for that specific type of runner, I need to look at beneficial for that specific type of runner. I need to look at where their running fitness is, the types of races that they've done in the past, and the type of races they're wanting to prepare for during that specific season. Period. New line. For instance, somebody that is relatively new to running, that's only running 20 miles per week, will require a vastly different structure to their training plan to somebody compared to somebody that has been running for a decade or longer and is comfortable at 40 or 50 miles a week or even longer. Period. New line. This is specifically true when we look at training for an event such as the marathon, which has very specific type of fitness needs, both in terms of being able to just reach the finish line, as well as being able to target a personal best time over that distance. Period. So with all of these things in mind, let's take a closer look specifically at the type of athlete that will benefit from a long training cycle and the athlete that will benefit from a shorter training cycle. Period. Once we've done that, we will also look at what athletes that are in longer training cycles can do in order to be able to only need a shorter training cycle, but have more time in their hands, can do in order to be able to incorporate specific training for B-level races while building up to their A-level race. Period. The type of athlete that I'll structure a long training cycle for will be those athletes that are relatively new to running or who are only running approximately 20 miles per week and are looking at being able to finish a marathon. Period. New line. The reason why I say that is if you're running 20 miles per week, it's very likely that your long run will only be in the region of 8 or maybe at a push 10 miles per week. Period. And a long run of between 8 and 10 miles is not a sufficient level of overall running fitness to be able to cope with a distance of a marathon. Period. This athlete will need a longer training cycle in order to be able to build up their fitness to a level of being able to cope with the marathon distance. Period. New line. With this in mind, I'll be looking at setting up a training plan for this runner that is in the region of 22 weeks in length, where the first 10 weeks of that training cycle will be looking very much like pre-season base level training, where the focus is simply on being able to build up fitness to the level where they're at approximately being fit enough to be able to start a 12-week marathon training program. Period. Conversely, really fit runners that are comfortably running 40 to 50 miles per week, or maybe even further, really only need a shorter training cycle to sharpen up their fitness in order to be able to run a good time in a marathon. Period. This runner already has the base level fitness necessary to be able to complete the marathon, because their weekly long run will already be in the region of between 18 and 20 miles, which is sufficient to be able to complete the marathon distance. Period. With this in mind, the type of program that I'll put together will invariably be only 12 weeks in length, where most of the program will be focused on specific types of training workouts for the type of terrain that is likely to be encountered during that marathon in order to be able to sharpen the person's fitness to the level that they can potentially run a personal best when toeing the line of the marathon. Period. It is quite feasible that you have an athlete that is fit enough to be able to run a really good marathon with a short training cycle, but they come to me and they've got 22 weeks of time available before their marathon. Period. One thing I won't do is put this type of athlete onto a long-term program like what I would do with a relatively new runner. Period. The most common solution that I use in this type of situation is that the training program that I've put together will have two distinct phases to it. There will be an initial phase of about 10 weeks that will be tailored specifically to speed work, where I'll be training the athlete to compete in a couple of 5-kilometer races and maybe even a 10k race as well. Period. At the end of the 10-week cycle, I'll give the athlete a 1-week recovery week, and then we will roll into a normal 12-week marathon prep that will bring them up to a fitness level to be able to potentially run a personal best. Period. New line. That athlete will already have the fitness to be able to cope with the marathon distance, but by incorporating a intense 5k training program before starting the marathon program will just add the variety necessary so that the athlete does not become stale by repeating the same type of workouts week in and week out, and keeps the training stimulus varied. Period. Anyway, just to recap, to break away briefly to be able to wrap up the Project 24 work hour, because we had to do our report back to each other with the accountability group. But with that being done, let me just give you a brief run over. So I set the timer going for 10 minutes, and literally as Anna called us back at the end of our work hour, that was the 10 minutes that it completed. So within 10 minutes, we're looking at 971 words, which, if I go over into NaNoWriMo and I add my 971 words to my total, there we go. It takes me to 2,918 words for the day, but more importantly, 971 words in 10 minutes comes out at a typing speed of, I don't know if you can see it there, of 97 words per minute. And as you know, my target was to do 80 words per minute. So to be able to do a 1,000 word blog post in 12 minutes requires 80 words per minute. Doing this on voice typing in Google Documents, as you can see, with both of those documents that both of those blog posts that I completed, even though neither of them was 1,000 words. The first one was 1,900. The second one was 971. So which means the second one was under, the first one was well over, but the writing speed on both came out at being well over 90 words a minute, which is 10 words per minute faster than what I needed to be able to do a 1,000 word blog post um, in 12 minutes. So now you can see really clearly what I do is, and by when let me just change this angle slightly. And so what you can see here is when I put together my topic that I'm wanting to write, I open a Google document for it. Within the Google document, I add my H2 subheadings. And as you can see here, this was 4 subheadings, and 4 subheadings came out at 971 words. Generally speaking, I know that when I write a blog post of 1,250 words, I need 5 H2 subheadings, because obviously this is 4 subheadings. I'm at 971 words. There's still going to be about another 200 words that's going to be coming in during the course of the edit when I add my introduction paragraph and my answer target, and that's going to add about another 200 words all told. So which means that this will bring this specific blog post up to about 1,100 words. But getting back on point is, so what I'm doing is I put my topic of my blog post in a Google document. Then what I do is I then add my H2 and H3 subheadings into that specific Google document, and then I can just voice type the body of the blog post really quickly. And then if, for instance, I'm somewhere out and I haven't got the internet available to me right then and there, what I can do is, by having my mobile phone paired into my Gmail account as well, I can open the same Google document on my phone and do the voice typing there. It's something that makes the whole process way simpler, way easier to do. And a super good evening to each and every single one of you on this Thursday evening, or should I say it's almost Friday morning. The time now is just about 2 or 3 minutes to midnight. I'm needing to wrap up really soon. The edit of yesterday's video, which is going to come out at about 35 minutes or so, is at long last complete and through the rendering process at the end of the video edit. So at least that part of things is finished. The second blog post, much shorter, 4 subheadings, 971 words, wrapped up in 10 minutes. So that's 97.1 words per minute average. That's my rough calculation. By the time this video goes out, I'll have the actual detail of how many minutes and seconds of writing it was for the 971 words, but that is easily in excess of the 80 words per minute needed to be able to do 1,000 words in 12 minutes. In 1,000 words in 12 minutes, 971 words in 10 minutes. It's easily faster than that type of speed. And so this was a much shorter blog post that again shows you it's not a flash in the pan. It's something that can be knocked out with regularity. And if I can do it, I mean, I'm not super special. So if I can do something like that with my blog posts, that's something that you most definitely can do as well. So with that being said, coming up now for midnight, I need to get myself some rest, some sleep, so that I can get a bit of a bike ride in the morning before the heat strikes. I know sunrise is a bit later at the moment, so I'll probably be heading out at, say, about 7:30ish or so, and which means that I should be able to get most of the ride finished before the sun gets overly high in the sky and it starts getting too hot, because this heat wave at the moment is horrendous. I'm sitting here, I'm a little bit away from where my fan is that's been blowing on me. I'm sitting here, it's midnight, and the sweat is pouring down my face. Anyway, with that being said, I need to get some sleep. You have a super productive day. Smash out your content. Try this method that I've shown you and see how many words you can get out in a 15 or 20-minute writing sprint. It's that simple. Have yourselves, I'm going to say good night. Have yourselves a wonderful day and smash your content just like I'm doing at the moment. Good night.